Back to the deep dive. We've taken a stack of sources detailing the mechanics of effective prospecting, and today we are tackling, the single area that makes or breaks the entire effort, the follow-up,
It really is. It's the essential step.
and the one that causes the most fear and procrastination, right?
Absolutely. Our sources are, they're completely unambiguous on this point. They state flat out that if you fail to follow up consistently, well, you won't know if a prospect is genuinely interested.
You can't sponsor them.
You could sponsor them, and ultimately you won't see the financial returns you're looking for. It's that direct.
That's a massive stake. The sources boil it down to this really powerful mantra. Your fortune is in the follow-up. Either follow up or fall down.
It sounds like a lot of pressure.
It does, but what I find most insightful is the critique of the common mindset people have around this whole process.
And that's really where the analysis begins. Most people see the follow-up as, like, a necessary evil.
A separate step.
A separate, distasteful chore they have to schedule after the meeting. They meet someone, hand the tool, a DVD link, whatever, and then they think, okay, now I have to chase them down later.
And the source material calls that approach
Fatally flawed.
fatally flawed. I mean, that suggests the moment you pick up the phone to follow up, you're not just making a call, you're fighting an uphill battle because the system was broken from the very start.
Exactly. So our mission today is to really unpack these sources, to understand how you design the interaction from the very beginning, so that follow-up call transforms from this dreaded thing into a smooth, strategic, professional conversation.
And if we look at the bigger picture, the reason it's fatally flawed is that the follow-up process, it doesn't start when you dial the phone.
Right.
It starts the moment you meet the prospect. Let's just call him Jack. Everything you say and do in that first encounter directly contributes to what the SARM calls Jack's almighty opinion. That's such a great phrase, the almighty opinion. So we're talking about the subconscious perception that Jack is forming about the opportunity, about you.
Exactly. About whether this is a legitimate thing or just another frantic sales pitch. And if you wait until after that encounter to even think about the follow-up, you're already behind. That opinion is already set.
You're playing defense.
You are.
Yeah.
The sources emphasize that the professional prospector proactively molds that opinion using specific high-leverage principles. And this isn't about being, slick or manipulative.
No, it's about building genuine rapport.
Genuine rapport and credibility so that when you do call Jack back, he's actually receptive to hearing from you.
Okay, so let's unpack some of these principles. They're designed to make the follow-up simpler, more effective, and they have these really memorable names.
We can start with one called 100% Chance of Sunshine. It's basically about strategically paying genuine compliments.
Which immediately sets a positive tone.
Right. It makes the prospect feel valued, not just, targeted.
Then there's Curiosity Paid the Cat, which I think is vital. It's about showing genuine interest in them, their goals, their life.
Not just talking about your product. If Jack feels like you actually cared about him, he's way more likely to take your call seriously later on.
And we have to talk about casualize and minimize.
Oh, that's a big way. This principle is all about fighting that expectation that you're about to launch into some high-pressure formal sales presentation.
So you make yourself relatable, you speak casually, you minimize how big the ask is, saying things like, it's just a quick look.
You lower their emotional defenses. And the other principles just round this out. Mental judo for building common ground. You let the dogs out to show respect for their time, and feeding the birds to enhance your sincerity.
The key here is that these aren't just, being polite.
No, they're strategic tools. They ensure that when you call Jack back, he remembers you as a professional friend who cared, not some pushy salesperson.
When you shape that almighty opinion from the start, you've done, 80% of the work already?
You've made the follow-up call so much easier, emotionally and technically.
That groundwork is essential. But let's be honest, even with all that in place, there's still that internal roadblock. We all fear picking up the phone.
Oh, yeah. Fearing rejection or just the feeling of being an annoyance.
The sources describe it as this painful, desperate measure because we're relying on external things to motivate us.
Which brings up a really important psychological question. How do we get over that procrastination and fear?
And the strategy they suggest is, it's so simple, but powerful.
It's that you have to put your integrity on the line.
Okay, putting integrity on the line. Walk us through the mechanics of that.
It's very straightforward. During that initial meeting, you tell the prospect clearly that you will be calling them. And then you just do it. You honor your word.
So it shifts the whole dynamic.
It does. You stop being compelled by the fear of whether they'll say yes or no, and you start being compelled by the integrity of keeping your own promise. It becomes a word-compelling action, not a fear-compelling one.
That's fascinating. It reframes the whole task. It's not about Jack anymore. It's about whether you are a person who does what they say they're going to do.
A much easier internal driver.
And the source gives us this really clear, high-impact dialogue to use right after Jack agrees to look at the information.
That's right. The prospector says something like, Jack, the next couple of days are going to be kind of crazy. I'm not exactly sure when I will be calling, but you have my word that I will call within the next day or two. Is that all right?
And the power in that is you're putting yourself on record immediately.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
It establishes credibility right from the start. You're showing you're reliable. You aren't even asking if he's interested yet. You're just confirming that you're going to follow through.
And that builds trust, which, in the long run is vital for building a team. Jack is now actually expecting your call.
Right, which dramatically lowers the friction when you finally dial his number.
Okay, so let's assume all that foundational work is done. The integrity line is established. Now we're into the mechanics of the actual call. The sources give us a very specific 4-line dialogue.
And we have to look at the psychological precision of each line.
Mhm.
It's really something. Line 1 is just simple verification.
Is this Jack?
Is this Jack? That's it.
Why not just jump right in? Hey, Jack, it's Russ.
Because you risk this incredibly awkward, credibility-killing moment if you start talking about a business opportunity to, I don't know, Jack's spouse or his boss.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
That first line is a professional courtesy. It prevents you from blabbing to the wrong person. It's a tiny investment of time that pays off huge in professionalism.
Okay, understood. So line 2, this is where you establish the connection, and it's so casual. Jack, this is Russ. You may not remember me, but we bumped into each other a couple of days ago, and I loaned you some information.
The word choice there is so deliberate. First, you're just Russ, your first name. It frames you as a peer, not some corporate suit.
Right.
Then using we bumped into each other,
Yeah.
it makes Jack a participant. He shares ownership of that meeting, and that phrase, bumped into, is critical.
It sounds so spontaneous.
It implies a casual, isolated meeting. It fights that suspicion that this was some elaborate, orchestrated maneuver to trap him in a sales pitch.
That's a really sophisticated way to use casual language. It sets the tone perfectly. Okay, line 3. Do you have a quick moment?
Also strategically chosen. It projects respect for his time. It's congenial, it's not intrusive, and it's designed to clear the call. You want to avoid things like, did I catch you at a bad time?
Why? That seems polite.
Because it gives them an easy out and forces them to justify why it's a bad time. Just asking if they have a quick moment is simpler, more professional, and easier for them to answer.
Okay, that makes sense. And finally, line 4, which ties it all back. Well, I told you I would be calling, and I'm just making good on my word.
And that's the integrity reinforcement. It's the final psychological defense. You're not calling to recruit him or pressure him.
You're just doing what you said you would do.
You're calling because you're a person who follows through. You're fulfilling a promise. It completely disarms the situation and makes him far more relaxed for whatever comes next.
So even with all this perfect preparation, you're going to hit the objection. You deliver your 4 lines, and Jack says, I'm in the middle of something right now, but I do want to talk to you. Can you call me later?
And this is where we cannot accept the vague later. If we do that, we're right back on that merry-go-round. The goal is to professionally take control of the schedule.
You have to clear the call.
You have to clear the call by asking a yes or no question and then offering a concrete alternative. So if he says he can't talk right now,
You ask for permission to schedule something else.
precisely. If he says, no, I can't talk, you just respond professionally. No problem, Jack. Do I have permission to touch base next week? But if he gives you that vague later, you have to pin him down.
How do you do that without being pushy? You use a narrowing system. You start by confirming the immediate time frame. You mean later today. If he says no, you zoom out just a bit. Okay, what time would you suggest? If he still can't give you a time, you guide him.
You'd say something like,
In general, are mornings or afternoons better for you to take a brief, scheduled call? You're being professional, but you're persistent in finding a specific window.
and this is where the scripting helps convert that objection into an actual meeting. Let's say Jack says he did look at the info and thought it looked pretty good.
Right. That's your opening. The source provides the crucial transition. The professional suggests sitting down over coffee to fill in the gaps. And crucially, they don't accept sometime this week.
No, they start narrowing immediately? Would you prefer something right before or right after work?
And if he says mornings are better, the very next line has to be a specific day and time. Would 7 o'clock this Friday morning be okay? You keep narrowing. Day, then time, then location. You remove all the vagueness.
Okay, so the meeting is set, Friday morning, 7 o'clock. The source then suggests ending the call with this brilliant final touch, a question.
It is a critical final piece of language. It removes all possible ambiguity. You just say, if I don't hear from you by then, I have permission to call you back.
Wow.
And if he agrees, you have his explicit verbal commitment. It's profoundly professional. And if he's a no-show, you know you have his permission to call him again. It removes his ability to just disappear.
But what about the most frustrating scenario of all? The person who keeps taking your calls seems interested, but always apologizes that they haven't actually looked at the information yet.
I haven't watched the DVD merry-go-round.
Yes,
Yes.
that one. It's such a huge source of wasted time and emotional energy.
It is. The primary strategy here is to confront that procrastination,
Yeah.
but gently. First, your tone. It has to convey genuine enthusiasm, not frustration. You need to sound like you're taking life by the tail.
So they're motivated by your success, not annoyed by your pressure.
Exactly. And second, you have to set extremely specific expectations to demystify the task for them. Don't just say the video is short.
Be more specific.
Be precise. Say something like, just so you know, that video is only 16 minutes and 43 seconds long. You won't have to plan a whole evening around it.
That level of specificity works because it just destroys their mental story that this is a huge commitment.
Exactly. It turns a project into a simple minute-by-minute task they can easily fit in.
But if they still procrastinate, even after that, you have to bring integrity back into it to force a final resolution. This is the integrity trumps procrastination script. It feels high stakes.
It is a setup, but it's a professional one. When Jack apologizes again, you appeal to his self-image. You say, you know, Jack, I realize that we barely know each other, but my initial impression of you is that you are a man of your word. Is that correct?
That's a genius move. He almost has to agree.
He does. And once he agrees that he's a man of his word, you've put the responsibility for action squarely on his own integrity. Then you immediately ask for the commitment. Great, then let's set a time. When I touch base on Friday, you will have watched the DVD.
It's a yes or no question based on his own stated character.
Yes. But then you have to face the final reality, knowing when to fold them. If someone is just a professional time waster, you have to end the cycle, but you do it in a way that lets them save face.
What does that sound like?
The source gives us a really compassionate, respectful exit. You remove the pressure. You say something like, Jack, I'm getting a sense that this just isn't the best time for you. I'd like to encourage you to keep the DVD for future reference. Don't you agree?
So it respects their time, shows you're not desperate, and ensures they leave with a positive view of you.
Right. You haven't lost a prospect. You've just tabled them respectfully for another time.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? I think the key takeaway is that effective follow-up isn't about desperation or, high-pressure tactics. It's a strategic system.
It's built on professional preparation, respect for time, and most powerfully, on honoring your word.
It transforms what's often a really fearful chore into a process driven by professional integrity.
And that integrity is the true mechanism of efficiency here. The sources reference Case Stewart, who said that 95% of everything you do in network marketing is a complete waste of time.
95%.
Yeah. And the other 5% is what makes you wealthy. But the catch is, while you're doing it, you won't know which is which.
That's an enormous amount of wasted time and energy.
It is. So if the vast majority of your effort is inevitably spent on prospects who will never move forward, consider this. How can implementing these principles of integrity, of forcing clear, specific commitments, how can that help you identify that crucial 5% faster and more efficiently?
It's not just about saving effort.
No. It will save you most of that wasted effort, but it will also effectively eliminate the fear that comes with all that uncertainty. And that's something to mull over as you plan your next professional moves.
Absolutely. Until next time, keep that integrity on the line.